everybody. My name is Márcio Arbex. I'm in charge of the Solution Engineer team for Latin America. Today, I'm pleased to open this section as part of the TIBCO Analytics Forum agenda. For this one that we are going to attend in next minute, we have Rodrigo Mantovanelli, a business analyst and member of the Center of Excellence in Analytics at Petrobras, a Brazilian multinational corporation in petroleum industry. Over 10 years in data and analytics, he will cover an important matter in oil and gas business, exploring how well reservoir characterization can bring results not only as an economic challenger, but also a key to apply the best technology in order to bring the right results. To support Rodrigo in his presentation, I would like to thank Thiago Moreira, data analyst from Brazil, a TIBCO partner based in Brazil. Thiago will show how TIBCO Spotify modes can leverage the power of Spotify for a seamless fit for proposal analytics experience. The Moods Cloud enabled framework makes it easy for industries to build, to share, and to use. So thanks, Rodrigo, to jump into the well log analysis through a new data approach using TIBCO technology. Floor is yours.
Thanks, Márcio. So let's jump to the presentation. I'm going to talk about the visualization of well log data in the context of reservoir characterization and reservoir analysis. So first, I will talk about some opportunities and challenges in the context of big data. Also talk about the role of custom visualizations on perceived value in analytic solutions. I'll talk a bit about the role of well logs in reservoir modeling and characterization. Then I will show some existing approach for well log plotting. And at the end, we will make a live demonstration of the well log mod that we have built in collaboration with TIBCO and Yes Brazil. Okay. So the oil and gas industry is a data-driven business. The 4 V's of big data, including volume, variety, velocity, and veracity, they are exemplified in the overwhelming nature of upstream subsurface data. We have seen the need for standardization and collaboration growing in this sector, and I would mention the OSDU, the Open Subsurface Data Universe, which is a cross-organization initiative carried out by the Open Group in order to build an open standard for subsurface data, okay, in order to deal with all this complexity. So we have been able to manipulate large data sets. We have been able to build data lakes at our corporations, but the extraction of maximum value from data is still a challenge. Now companies are battling with making sense and creating opportunities from both data at rest and data in motion, from structured to unstructured data. And in this context, the data visualization and analytic platforms like Spotify, they play a key role in summarizing and interpreting big data sets. At Petrobras, we have been enabling our business experts in order to perform some hands-on data analysis, I mean some ad hoc analysis, and also letting them build interactive dashboards. Self-service analytics has been changing the way organizations make decisions, right? On the other hand, we have been empowering our data science by providing an underlying engine for deeper dives into more advanced analytics modeling. And we try to combine these 2 scenarios. And we had some progress in this direction. At Petrobras, we have developed an innovative data analysis tool whose primary objective is to map the production potential of areas recently acquired by the company. I mean, new prospects. Okay, this platform integrates large volumes of data from our oil reservoirs. And by integrating these large volumes of data, it enables information sharing across different disciplines, geology, geophysics, reservoir modeling, and so on. And in this platform, we try to combine exploratory data analysis with some data science algorithms. These algorithms, they try to identify data from analog fields. They explore the concept of analogy and different kinds of analogies. And also not only identifying analog fields, but also suggesting the best parameters to be incorporated in the analysis, in the reservoir model. Our initial results showed the reduction of reservoir modeling step in 80%. So it has a huge impact in anticipating and the implementation of projects for development of new fields. Okay. So data visualizations and analytic platforms like Spotify, they enable the visualization of large information space, large volumes of data with some intuitive interaction patterns. And the standard visualizations available in these platforms are often enough for general purpose inquiries. However, we do believe there is some space for improvement here, especially when considering tailoring some visualizations to specific domains, to specific niche sectors like oil and gas industry. So that's the role of our presentation, to show a well-logged plot designed to be used in the analytic platform like Spotify. And why well logs? Well logs are the most common type of data available during a prospect. They are anchor for well data analysis. This kind of data are really essential inputs for reservoir characterization. They are used during the distinct phase, during the whole life cycle of the well's life. It's a really interdisciplinary tool used by geophysics, geologists, reservoir engineers, and really widespread within the oil and gas industry. However, this specific kind of plot, the well logs, are not readily available as a built-in visualization within mainstream analytics platforms. And this is the gap we are trying to fill with this mod. Okay. So in order to summarize, well logs are signals representing measurements of physical properties of the rocks along the depth extension of the well. And here we have, for instance, an example with the resistivity signal. Okay, but there are dozens of different signals that can be measured in each well, representing distinct rock properties. For instance, we could measure gamma ray, sonic, caliper, and many others. So the well log plot enables us to condensate measurements from many sources and different measurements into a concise and visual format which is understandable and familiar to our technical audience. So they are really used to interpret well log plots, geologists, physics, and reservoir engineers. Here I have a list of some requirements for interactive well log plots. The first requirement will be zooming, the ability to choose a magnification factor by which the plot is displayed. Really useful here in exploring and understanding high resolution data. Okay. The other requirement is panning, the ability to navigate in any direction without any limitation given through bounds. And here, bounds we mean the screen bounds, the user screen. Also, we need the ability to highlight some multiple ranges of interest to detect some patterns. Also the need for marking. We want that selections made in one visualizations are automatically reflected in other visualizations. This is a really useful feature. And we need, for well-log plots, a very flexible visual mapping. The end users, they must choose the desired line type, line style, the thickness of the line, the color, and also the fill pattern and fill direction. We want to fill the area from the left to right, from right to left, or even between curves in cases where we have multiple measurements plotted in the same track. I will show you afterwards. So now I'll talk about the different approaches that we have faced in order to create well-log plots in Spotify, in typical Spotify. First, in order to do so, we tried to use the native or the standard visualizations. Since we don't really have an area chart as a native visualization in Spotify, we had to use here bar charts in order to represent areas, but this is really a limitation. We could try to use the new mods developed for area charts that are now available in Spotify, but also we will have some limitations regarding the visual mapping of variables, okay? So we thought that we could do better. Then we gave a next step, trying to explore Python libraries in order to plot better well plots. We had some progress here. We could plot styled lines. We could choose some gradient fields for the areas. But the limitation here with this approach is that we have no interaction. We have some static images being plotted, but the end user cannot interact with these images. Can read the plot, but cannot interact, cannot mark, okay? Then the next step was to try the JSV's components. Then we could build nice plots, nice visualizations. We had some flexible visual mapping, and we could build interactive graphs. But the limitation was, from the end user perspective, it requires a lot of coding, especially JavaScript coding, okay? So from the end user perspective, this approach is difficult to reuse. You cannot easily reuse the graphs, the plots you have developed with JSVs. And then we came up with mods, which in our opinion is the best of breed approach. We could build interactive graphs as we did using JSVs, but from the end user perspective, there is no coding requirement. It's a grab and go approach. Whether the user just choose the graph, configure the axis of the graph, and then start exploring the visualization. Can interact with it. We have the tooltip, we have the marking feature implemented. And also we have implemented the zoom, vertical zoom button here for the user to choose the magnification factor, and this button for the key mapping. So the user has full control of the visual mapping about the thickness of the line, the style of the line, if it's dotted, if it's solid, the color of the line. The same for the area, the filling pattern from right to left, from left to right, the color could be also a gradient scheme. Can control the scales, logarithmic or linear scale, maximum and minimum values for the scale, and also some ranges of interest regarding cutoffs and thresholds. These ranges of interest can be highlighted in the graph, as you can see here in the caliper track. We have some range darker and lighter. Okay. Now, Thiago will talk about the creation of the well mods.
Now I'm going to talk about the mod creation. It was a collaboration between Petrobras Brazil and TIBCO. We used the TIBCO Labs platform that's very useful to test and bug fix the mods because we can use a new implementation of the Spotfire. And we use D3 as the library to create the mod because it is very flexible to configure the access, the color, and marking, etc. And we together bring the data from the LAS, okay, to make the bug fixes, creation the new features, and we intend to make the support for newer versions of the mod and for Spotify new versions, okay. So regarding Spotify mods, it's a new implementation of Spotify 11. So we have lots of new mods coming from the Spotify community, and the well log will join them pretty soon. And it's important because it permits us a native functionality, okay, of Spotify visualizations. So we can mark, we can filter, we can make trails. It's a very easy implementation inside an analytics process, okay? And most important is that all the data come in memory, in database, and streaming. So we can make lots of implementations inside the well log and the oil and gas industry. So now we are going back to Rodrigo to make the live demo.
So guys, this is the mod in action. If you can see here, the user can choose the variables that are going to show here. But I think it's more interesting than showing the mod itself is to show the visualization in conjunction, being used together with other visualizations, and to explore the interactivity between them. Okay. Then we must switch. So on the left side, we have a geographic map, where the plotting the top and bottom of the well, and the user can select a specific well in order to interpret and read its well log. In this example, we have gamma ray, caliper, PHIN and PHID, and resistivity. And in this scenario, we have the well log being used in conjunction with a 3D scatter plot displaying the well log path and two histograms for gamma ray and resistivity. And the user can interact with the graph, like with the tooltip showing the value of the variables along the depth. Right? The user can make selections by clicking, for instance, here in a specific zone or facie, or even selecting from the depth axis, like from top to bottom, right? So we have two kinds of selections available. And we can see here the marking. If I mark some specific treasure, I see the result in the other visualization. This is a really handy and useful feature, and we see a lot of potential of use of this kind of visualization in our projects at Petrobras. So guys, as I said, processing large volumes of data for reservoir modeling and simulation is not something really new. What has changed during the last years is the availability of new technology to process high volumes of a variety of data types with different access patterns at relatively quicker speeds. We are trying to explore this technology in order to bring all this data to a single platform to avoid the need to for the users to open multiple softwares and load different data in order to make one single analysis. So we are trying to build a single platform for data analysis, well data analysis. And as next steps, we would like to include more functions, such as the ability to plot multiple wells. It would be really useful in the context of detecting correlation between wells. And also, we would like to evaluate the suitability of this mod, the well log mod, in the context of the typical stream-based platform using data in motion, right? Okay, everybody is welcome to collaborate with this project. As Thiago mentioned, it will be available for the Spotify community. And come on, you're welcome. You're welcome to join and to participate in this development. So, if you guys want to learn more about the OSDO initiative, we have a link here at TIBCO community. If you want to learn more about TIBCO labs, there's another link. And if you want to go deeper into Spotify mods, we also have a link at GitHub that can be helpful for you. I would like to thank TIBCO and Reservoir Brazil for this amazing collaboration and invite everybody who wants to collaborate with us in this mod, which will be available for the TIBCO community soon. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I would like also to thank Rodrigo for the collaboration and TIBCO as well. And as Rodrigo said, the mod will be available soon for the community, for everybody to collaborate and share your thoughts. Thank you.